In a small village in Kerala, India, a woman named Jolly Joseph seemed to live a happy and normal life. She was married to Roy Thomas, a bank employee, and had 2 sons. She was friendly and cheerful and attended church regularly. She claimed to be a lecturer at a prestigious institute and enjoyed a good reputation in the community. But behind this facade of respectability, Jolly Joseph was hiding a dark and sinister secret. She was a serial killer who had poisoned 6 members of her own family with cyanide over a span of 14 years. Her motive was greed, jealousy, and revenge. Her victims included her husband, her in-laws, her uncle-in-law, her cousin's wife, and her cousin's daughter. How did she manage to get away with these murders for so long? How did she obtain the deadly poison? How did she deceive everyone around her? And how was she finally caught and exposed? This is the story of the Kudathai cyanide killings, one of the most shocking and sensational cases of crime in India. The first murder took place in 2002. Jolly's mother-in-law, Annama Thomas, was a retired school teacher who had a strong personality and a keen interest in Jolly's career. She often urged Jolly to get a job and not waste her education. Jolly, however, had lied about having a postgraduate degree and a teaching position at the National Institute of Technology. She was afraid that Annama would find out the truth and expose her. Jolly decided to get rid of Annama by poisoning her with cyanide, which she had obtained from a veterinary clinic. She mixed the poison in a glass of water and gave it to Annama after she returned from a walk. Annama collapsed and died shortly after. Jolly pretended to be shocked and grief-stricken and convinced everyone that Annama had died of a heart attack. The second murder took place in 2008. Jolly's father-in-law, Tom Thomas, was a retired government official who had a large property and a pension. Jolly wanted to inherit his wealth and gain control over his affairs. She also resented him for being close to his son, Roy, and for interfering in their marital issues. Jolly repeated the same modus operandi as before. She gave Tom a glass of water laced with cyanide and watched him die. She again acted as a grieving widow and claimed that Tom had died of a cardiac arrest. The third murder took place in 2011. Jolly's husband, Roy Thomas, was a bank employee who had a drinking problem and a debt issue. Jolly was unhappy with him and wanted to end their marriage. She also had an affair with another man, Shaju Zachariah, who was her cousin's husband. Jolly poisoned Roy with cyanide, which she had added to his rice and curry. Roy was found dead in the bathroom, which was locked from the inside. Jolly called the police and said that Roy had committed suicide. The post-mortem report confirmed the presence of cyanide in his body, but Jolly managed to convince the police that Roy had taken the poison himself. She also bribed the local priest to conduct a funeral for Roy, despite the fact that suicide was considered a sin by the church. The fourth murder took place in 2014. Jolly's uncle-in-law, Matthew Manchadil, was a retired teacher who had a suspicion about Jolly's involvement in Roy's death. He had asked for a copy of the post-mortem report and had questioned Jolly about her qualifications and job. He had also opposed Jolly's plan to marry Shaju, who had become a widower after his wife and daughter had died under mysterious circumstances. Jolly invited Matthew to her house and offered him a drink of whiskey mixed with cyanide. Matthew drank the poison and died on the spot. Jolly told everyone that Matthew had died of a heart attack and arranged for his funeral. The fifth and sixth murders took place in 2016. Jolly's cousin's wife, Seeli Shaju, and their daughter, Alfine Shaju, were the obstacles in Jolly's way of marrying Shaju. Jolly had befriended Seeli and had gained her trust. She had also pretended to be fond of Alfine, who was a toddler. Jolly killed Seeli by giving her a mushroom capsule containing cyanide, which she said was a medicine for depression. Seeli died instantly. Jolly killed Alfine by feeding her some food laced with cyanide, which she said was a snack. Alfine choked and died. Jolly blamed both deaths on food poisoning and expressed her sympathy for Shaju. Jolly's killing spree came to an end in 2019 when Roy's brother, Rojo Thomas, who lived in the US, decided to investigate his brother's death. He obtained the post-mortem report and found out that Roy had died of cyanide poisoning. He also learned that Jolly had lied about her education and job. He filed a complaint with the police, and demanded a probe into the deaths of his family members. The police reopened the case and interrogated Jolly. They also exhumed the bodies of the 6 victims and conducted forensic tests. They found traces of cyanide in all the bodies and confirmed that they had been murdered. They also found evidence of Jolly's involvement in procuring the poison and administering it to the victims. They also discovered Jolly's affair with Shaju, whom she had married in 2017. Jolly was arrested and charged with 6 counts of murder. She confessed to her crimes and revealed her motives. She also implicated 2 of her accomplices, MS Matthew and Praji Kumar, who had helped her obtain the cyanide. They were also arrested and charged. The Jolly Joseph case shocked the nation and the world. It exposed the dark side of a woman who had appeared to be a model citizen, but was in fact a cold-blooded killer. It also raised questions about the failure of the police, the medical system, and the society to detect and prevent the crimes. It also highlighted the dangers of cyanide, a lethal substance that can be easily obtained and used. The case is now the subject of a Netflix documentary titled Curry and Cyanide, which explores the details and the implications of the case. The documentary also features interviews with the investigators, the relatives, the friends, and the experts who were involved in the case. The case is also the subject of a book titled The Cyanide Murders, the true story of Jolly Joseph and the Kudatai killings, which provides a comprehensive and in-depth account of the case. The book also analyzes the psychological and sociological factors that led to Jolly's actions and the impact of the case on the society. The case is still pending in the court, and Jolly Joseph is awaiting trial. She faces the possibility of life imprisonment or death penalty. She has recently filed a plea in the Supreme Court, seeking acquittal and claiming that there is no evidence against her. The plea is yet to be heard and decided. The case of Jolly Joseph is one of the most intriguing and disturbing cases of crime in India. It is a case that challenges our notions of morality, justice, and human nature. It is a case that makes us wonder, how well do we know the people around us and what lies beneath their smiles?